Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. What you're looking at is the contents of a kit that will make colloidal silver. This is by Life Force, and this is their compact combo 2 colloidal silver generator kit. And it includes everything you see right here. We'll go through it. Right here is their silver generator, which is basically just an electrolysis machine. It runs either off direct current, or these are the screws to hold the cover on. You can put 9-volt batteries in series in there. We're not going to use 9-volt batteries, so I'll put the cover back on in a second. But we're going to use that along with these 0.9999 silver wire. These are 14 gauge, and that's the gauge matters because gauge determines surface area, which determines how fast electrolysis happens. They also give you what is essentially a Brillo pad to scuff up the surface of there, to have any oxidation there removed, because the shiny wire is not as effective to undergo electrolysis as one that's been roughened up a little bit. Again, surface area. A spoon to stir the liquid. They have a timer because they give you a chart that tells you how long it will take to get the desired parts per million. And the desired parts per million depends on what you are trying to treat with colloidal silver. They also give you an aquarium thermometer here, so you can take the temperature of your water, because this is a chemical, or electrolysis is a chemical reaction, electrochemical, and it is speeded up by an increase in temperature or a decrease in temperature. It's slowed down. So this is everything you need to get going. You've got the Brillo pad, the silver wire, the spoon, timer, the generator, and a thermometer. What they don't send you is distilled water, which is not a big deal to get. You can go down to your local grocery store and get distilled water for under $1 a gallon, and you need a container. In this case, we have a wide mouth ball mason jar container. This is a big one. This is a 64 ounce 8 cup. Again, you need to know the capacity because you're going to do a time for parts per million. So the first thing we are going to do is I'm going to rearrange some of this stuff to get it in order. I'm going to put the screws in here so this doesn't fall apart while we're using it. All right, we've got this secured. Next thing you want to do, actually before this step, is to make sure that this will fit on top of your container, okay? And you can see this is where we're going to attach the silver, and that does fit nicely on top of our mason jar. I've got an extension cord rigged up so we can put this, plug it in without stretching too far. And we're going to go ahead and fill this full of distilled water. So we're going to fill this to within 3/4 of an inch to the top. Almost up to the lip. Right about there. That was about 75 cents worth of water. Now we're going to take our 2 silver wires, and with that Brillo pad, we're going to scuff them up. Basically remove any surface oxidation. We'll wipe them down with a clean cloth here in a second. Just use a clean kitchen towel there. And now, because we have a deep container to make this, I'm going to form these into a J, like that. If I were to have a much more shallow container, I would form it into a U, so it wouldn't be as deep. And then we're going to go stick them in these little receptacles here. To operate these, you just push them down. They're spring clamps. Put the straight end in there, and then release, and it should hold it. I'm going to get the hooks going in the same direction. And there we go, 2 J's, 2 hooks. And now we're going to go ahead and put this in the water. Have it sit there. Now, of note, with many of these colloidal silver generators, there are no on-off switches. There is an LED here. The on-off switch is essentially the water. That's going to complete the circuit for electrolysis. When we plug this in, you can see that that light has gone on. Let me turn off some of the lights here. Yep, I got real close. I'll zoom in here. That light is going to start out dim and get brighter as the circuit continues a little better. So right now we are going. I'm back. Here's my little gourmet kitchen timer that I use for all sorts of things besides cooking. We're going to hit start. Maybe a minute off, but it's not going to be incredibly exact for this. What you really want to know, though, is depending on your parts per million, they always give you a chart. Now, 16 ounces, 24 ounces, 32 ounces. You'll notice it says, 16 minutes, 24 minutes, 32 minutes. If I extrapolate that and go to 32 ounces, we're going to consider that from 32 to 64 ounces. It'll take us 64 minutes to get 5 parts per million. And I'm going to go ask my boss, my beautiful wife, what parts per million we're shooting for, and that'll determine how long we'll have to do this. But in the meantime, we are just going to let this go. And if I start to see some evidence of electrolysis, I will zoom in and show you. Okay, now that we set the timer, we realize it's been about 10 minutes that have passed. And part of the maintenance of this while you produce it is to stir it occasionally. And they recommend stirring it after 10 minutes and then every 30 minutes thereafter. What helps me is to produce a little chart like this. Now I started at 10 minutes to 2 at 150. 2 o'clock is my first stir time. So all you do for that is use their spoon, lift it up, stir 3 to 4 seconds, and put that back in. Okay, here we are. Half hour later, it's time for our first wipe down check, and you can see the light is a little bit brighter. I put on a side light to try to show some of the bubbles that are creating. But what I can show you is there are bubbles on the right side lead, and you can also see it is much more dark. It's kind of got a grayish coating to it. But you see those little tiny bubbles? There they are. Hard to hold still. So the reaction is going. It is time for our stirring every 30 minutes. And we're good for another half hour. So one of the things we're going to do with this, I'm shooting for about 15 parts per million. Just to give you an idea, these two 6-inch 14 gauge silver wires will produce about 75 gallons worth of, I think, colloidal silver. If you wanted to go buy one of these at 30 ppm, this is about $25, and this is 8 fluid ounces, 1 cup. We're doing 8 cups here. So it's a great deal to do it for yourself. And the other good thing is, for best results, if you're going to consume this, you want fresh colloidal silver. As you store it, some of the ions lose their charge and is less effective. It's effective for some things. It still has some antimicrobial properties that you want to take advantage of, but for the most effect, you want it fresh. So we're good for another 30 minutes. We'll come back. This will be bubbling more. It'll be more discolored, and it'll be a little stronger. Okay, we're a little bit off schedule, but you can see we need to pull this again and wipe it. We do have a bright yellow LED light. So we're going to stir that together, and you can see the black stuff that we're going to wipe off that silver and set it going again. Okay, done for another half hour. Okay, everybody, we are wrapping it up. I've got a little spotlight on here to show you some of the action up close. You can see the 2 pieces of silver in there. If I can get, yeah, there's one. See that, all those bubbles coming off? And you can see how bright this LED now, that water is very much charged and really conducting well between those 2 silver wires. You can see the one is covered with a black residue, and that's really bubbling. And that's when we wipe off every 30 minutes and stir the water to keep it going. But we are now at the end of our cycle for a 15 parts per million. It's about 72 degrees in here, so you got to use your chart. We are using a 64-ounce container, so that's 192 minutes, and we are at 185 minutes right now. So the next 7 or 8 minutes, I will turn this off, close it up, and keep it in a dark, cool spot. But that's essentially how you use a colloidal silver generator. This one is particularly made by LifeForce. I apologize for using such a big container. In the future, you'll use smaller ones and it'll go much quicker. The only thing you have to do is keep the silver rods a good 1.5 inches off of the bottom of the container. So instead of making little J's like that, you'd bend them almost into a U shape. But that's it. That's how you save a lot of money and make a really useful product and stay healthy. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, stick them in the comments. I'll get to them when I can. Later.